Welcome to Turning Point, a podcast series brought to you by EuroIntervention. In this 20th anniversary special, we sit down with clinicians, researchers, mentors, and innovators to explore the moments that shape their paths and to reflect on the values we share: curiosity, education, collaboration, and a commitment to improving patient care. Because every journey has a turning point, and everyone has a story to tell. My name is Aisha Kader, and I'm joined today by Frederic Doncieux, who is Director of Europa Digital and Publishing, Véronique Deltort, who is Publishing Manager at PCR Digital and Publishing, and Sylvie Lhoste, who is Managing Editor of EuroIntervention. Welcome all.
Thank you, Aisha, for having us.
Frederic, Véronique, you were there before there was even a journal. Frederic, you were involved in the first digital operations of Europa with PCR Online, and Véronique, you worked with Jean-Marco at the time. Frederic, the idea of the journal came right after a pivotal EuroPCR course, wasn't it? Could you tell us more about it?
There was a sense of momentum after the course in 2004, a realization that the knowledge being shared needed to be captured, extended, and made permanent. The idea of a journal came quickly after a rich discussion between Jean-Marco, Patrick Serreus, and Marc, my brother, chairman of Europa. The decision was made, and they decided to ask Patrick Serreus to be editor-in-chief. That was almost immediate, evident, because he had the vision, the credibility, and the trust of the community. At that point, Marc shared the plan with me. I was working in publishing, not academic journals, but magazines and books. We start working through what it would take to create a journal. Europa had no experience in academic publishing. We considered at first outsourcing it, but Marc had that entrepreneurial mindset. Let's do it ourselves. Let's take the risk. He turned to me and said, go. I came up with a list of what would be needed, and we jumped in.
That's very interesting and also fabulous that you took on that challenge. So you mentioned that you came up with a list. What kind of a list?
A long list. At first, legal and compliance actions, and otherwise definition of the technical characteristic of the journal, things concerning the layout, wood shoes for printing, etc., etc. Very long list.
It's unbelievable. You don't really realize how much goes on behind the scenes of creating a journal and all of this work at the back end. So once the vision was in motion, Marc had reached out to you, Véronique. How did you come in?
At that time, I was working closely with Marc Doncieux and with Professor Jean-Marco on the scientific and educational program of PCR course. One day, Marc said to me, we are going to build a journal and you will work with Frederic, my brother, with a publisher. I had no experience with publishing at all, but I knew the medical community and I had built relationships through my previous career with most industry partners and doctors. So I said yes, and I learned with Frederic everything on the publishing academic part of the job. At that time, we were really starting from scratch. We had no automatic systems or any platforms to help.
Looking back now, it would be crazy, absolutely crazy, to start this kind of project without any prior experience. But maybe because we did not know how hard it would be, we were brave enough to try.
That's a very impressive story, actually. And I understand also that Paul Cummins was the journal's first managing editor Again, somebody who took on the role as it came. Let's talk a bit about Paul. What was his role in the journal?
Paul is Irish. He was a former research nurse, full of energy, endlessly curious, and always ready with a joke or a story to tell. He built over the years a strong network of physicians who significantly helped the journal. He was working remotely before, and that was not the norm at that time, next to Professor Serreus, and he was traveling often to Toulouse to meet with us and work.
Paul reviewed proofs, coordinated with Sheldon Eitner, our historical copy editor, and others, and did a lot of editorial work himself. Paul played a central role in shaping the early editorial standards and strategy. He had a lot of connection in Rotterdam with the physicians there.
This journal is actually so much about connections and how people were brought in to see it evolve, isn't it? So you had a small team, but a big task. Tell us about what it was like working as a team in those early years of the journal.
Working as a team was essential at that time. We were only 4 people at the core, Frederic and myself in Toulouse, and Patrick and Paul in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam. We had no video calls, no platforms like we can have today, just phones, emails, and a lot of travels. We figured everything out on the fly, from how to finance the journal to how to handle submission, everything. So I already knew many of the physicians. I work from my past role of organizer of scientific programs with Europa, and this part was helping me a lot to build the trust in the long term.
Indexing, PubMed, the impact factor, we learned what they meant as we went. We were rejected. We tried again. It was artisanal, yes, but backed by a strong community of doctors and industry support. And we were pushed forward by visionary leaders.
The journal has clearly grown in readership with an impressive impact factor over the years. All of this, I would imagine, requires a larger scale of operation. So how did you respond to this need for growth?
Yes, you are totally right. To respond to the growth, we needed to take more people in the team and to reinforce our expertise in the different components of the journal.
And that's when, Sylvie, you joined in 2010. What was it like stepping into this evolving team?
Originally, I come from a background in communication and media analysis. And I had just moved to the Netherlands. And I was hired by Europa to help Paul with the day-to-day administration, handling emails, submissions, preparing board materials. Paul had the editorial knowledge and contacts with the doctors, and he taught me everything about peer review, publishing ethics, and journal operations. And even if I had some media and press experience from my previous roles, academic publishing was completely new, a new world, but one that I quickly grew passionate about. This journal has been a great adventure from the beginning, and there was so much to build and steal, and there is always a strong sense of contributing to the knowledge and supporting physicians.
So I've heard a lot about the beginning of the journal, the initial challenges, and its eventual growth to what it is today. What do you think has guided this project over the years?
I would say it's very much the Europa Group mindset. You go in, you try, you fail, you go back in. It's about movement, persistence, playing the long game. There were no guarantees, but we had each other and we believed in what we were doing.
It is also about teamwork. There were roles and responsibilities. There are still, of course, And it's also about trust, flexibility, passion.
EuroIntervention is an amazing adventure. It has reached a high maturity level under the leadership of Davide Capodanno. It was so enjoyable. If I could, I would do it all over again. This year, we celebrate the 20 years of the journal. Let's go for the next 20 years.
Frederic, Véronique, Sylvie, thank you so much for sharing the story of the lesser-known aspects of EuroIntervention's back-end operations since its inception. And thank you for being on this podcast.
Thank you, Aisha.
Thank you, Aisha.
Thank you for listening to Turning Point, a special podcast series celebrating EuroIntervention's 20th anniversary.